In 1900, 1 in every 4 people on Earth lived under the British Empire. And at the center of that empire, at the beating, smoking, roaring heart of it all, was this city, London, the largest city on Earth. 6 million people, 1,000 years of history pressed into every stone, every alley, every bridge. And here's what makes London different from every other city we will visit in this series. London did not try to stay the same. London burned and flooded and was bombed and rebuilt and reinvented itself again and again and again. And somehow through all of it, it remained completely unmistakably itself. Step into London in 1900, and the first thing that strikes you is the noise. Not the noise of engines, there are almost no cars yet, but the noise of people. 6 million of them, all moving, all working, all surviving in the most extraordinary urban experiment the world had ever seen. The Thames is alive with ships from every nation on Earth, spices from India, tea from China, timber from Canada, coal from Newcastle. The docks never sleep. The river never rests. The underground is already running. The oldest metro system in the world opened in 1863. Londoners in top hats and long coats descend into the earth to travel beneath their own city. They find it perfectly normal. Of course they do. They invented it. The red double-decker bus exists, though pulled by horses, not engines. The black cab exists, a handsome cab, 2 wheels, 1 horse. The newspaper boy exists, the flower seller, the street sweeper, the policeman in his tall helmet. So much of what we think of as modern London, its rhythms, its characters, its particular stubborn personality, was already fully formed in 1900. This is Westminster Bridge, left minus 1,900. Right last week? The bridge itself is actually newer than it looks, rebuilt in 1862, but the view from it is eternal. The Houses of Parliament on the right, the Thames below, the grey sky above. Turner painted this view. Wordsworth wrote a sonnet standing on this exact spot in 1802. And today, 10,000 tourists a day stop here and feel something they cannot quite name, Trafalgar Square. In the 1890s photograph, the fountains are dry, the pigeons already legendary. A horse-drawn carriage crossing the frame. Today, the fountains run blue. The pigeons have been officially discouraged, and the carriage has been replaced by 1,000 phone cameras. But Nelson still stands at the top of his column, looking south. He has not moved since 1843. Borough Market. This market has stood on the south bank of the Thames for over 1,000 years. 1,000 years of bread and cheese and vegetables and noise. In this photograph from 1900, traders in aprons lean over wooden stalls. Today, the stalls are still there. The aprons are still there. Even the smell, bread and spice, and the damp air off the river is still there. London does not always preserve its buildings, but it preserves its habits, its routines, the particular human patterns that make a city feel alive. Let us leave the landmarks. Let us find a morning. A Wednesday, October 1903. A crossing sweeper, a boy of perhaps 10, stands at the corner of the Strand and clears horse manure from the road so that ladies and gentlemen may cross without soiling their shoes. He earns a penny if he is lucky. He has been here since 5 in the morning. At Covent Garden, the flower market opens before dawn. Women carry baskets of chrysanthemums and carnations on their heads, navigating the crowd with a skill born from years of practice. The market moved in 1974 to a new building south of the river, but the flower sellers are still there. In Hyde Park, a nanny pushes a large black perambulator along the Serpentine. The same path exists today. On a Sunday morning, the same light falls through the same plane trees, and the same quiet settles over the water that has settled there for 300 years. And in the evening, because London too has always known how to end a day, the pubs open. The pub is perhaps the most unchanged institution in all of London. The same dark wood, the same warm light, the same particular comfort of a room full of strangers who are not quite strangers. Some of the pubs serving drinks tonight opened their doors in the 17th century. They have served every generation of London without interruption. Wars came, bombs fell, the city changed around them, and still they opened at 6. But London paid a price that Paris did not. On the night of the 29th of December 1940, German bombs fell on the city of London for hours. The next morning, photographs showed St. Paul's Cathedral rising through the smoke intact, surrounded by ruin. It became the most famous image of the entire war. Whole neighborhoods that had stood since the medieval period were gone in a single night. Streets that appear in Dickens, in Shakespeare, in Pepys erased. In their place came concrete towers, glass offices, the brutal geometry of post-war rebuilding. The old London of fog and gaslight and horse-drawn everything that London is gone. We will not find it by walking around. You have to look for it in layers. In the curve of an alley that has followed the same path since Roman times. In the names Cheapside, Threadneedle Street, Pudding Lane, that carry centuries in a single word. And yet, the Thames is unchanged. It has always been too big, too powerful, too ancient, too alter. It moves through London exactly as it has moved for 10,000 years, grey and tidal and patient. The double-decker bus is still red. The taxi is still black. The policeman's helmet has not changed shape in over a century. And on a cold morning in November, when the mist comes off the river and softens every edge of the city, London feels as it has always felt. Old, enduring, quietly magnificent. Every city has a personality. Paris is romantic. Rome is eternal. Berlin is restless. London is something else. London is stubborn. It has been conquered and burned and bombed and flooded and reinvented more times than any city deserves. And every single time it has stood back up, straightened its collar, and carried on. That is not just history, that is character. And when you walk across Westminster Bridge today, or stand in a Borough Market pub on a rainy Tuesday evening, or hear Big Ben mark the hour across the rooftops, you are not just in a city. You are inside 1,000 years of people who refuse to give up. This was London. This is London. And through the time lens, it will always be both.